Hmm. Ah, all right. Uh, something now for something a little bit different, more of the same as 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 it goes. More things change, the more things stay remain the same. Um, oh gosh, earthquake, an event. Okay, so most people know the story, and if you don't, go and read it up. Um, is it different? Yes, of course, it's a little different. It's had with the remix. I wonder who the remixers are. I wonder what their names are. The re-recording mixers. They got to be employed by Universal for some. I'm gathering it must be. But who are they? Because why or what decisions did they why they made these decisions to mm, you see the one thing that's missing here is gosh, the general exhibitation of it. I saw earthquake no, early 75. It opened 1974. Um, uh, yeah, I think it opened in UK cinemas around. I'm not sure if it was late November of 74, and it just played for months and months and months. I tell you, Earthquake was no woke movie. I mean, you've got big sound in the UK, depending on what prints were going around and such. 35 optical print or 70 millimeter six track mags. It ran 70 mil downtown for oh gosh, 4 maybe 5 months. Fucking hell, I mean that's more than fucking the what this Superman woke is gonna do. This Superman thing is gonna be gone so fucking fast. You wonder if it was a bird or whatever, or a plane. Um, big sound, very cheap price, 74, 70. I think it was less than 80 pence. It was less than 80 pence to see it for a child. Um, and of course, I was sat in one of the. I think I paid just a little extra because there were regular seats that could be front lower stools, or behind the the centre middle seats that were a little bit more comfier. Basically, they look like office seats. They're just a bit more comfortable. I think I sat in those in the middle. Yeah, saw that thing 4 times, I think, at the cinema. What attracted my attention to it was seeing Towering Inferno about several days earlier, directly below screen number one. And during an intermission on Towering Inferno, hearing this non directional sort of rumbling sound coming that appeared to be coming from above. And I'm looking around, thinking, what is that? And I think, something about the poster that I saw outside Earthquake, and these other letters that I saw on the poster, big, big flipping letters. Sensurround. I mean, what does that mean? What is that? So I enjoyed the Towering Inferno, of course. Um, oh, I liked it. I liked the Towering Inferno. I didn't love it. You can't love something that's immaterial now, can you? Uh, yeah, it was just this trend that was going around in the 1970s. Disaster flicks, boats flipping upside down with tidal waves, um, buildings going up like a Roman candle, and the whole Los Angeles area getting absolutely bulldozed by an earthquake. Um, yeah, it's just basically it's some sort of psychological thing, I think, as well, because the movie industry, I like, they really had this bloodthirst for death and destruction. Um, and seeing how other characters and that get through this and all, um, mm, that's kind of like, some of the characters in Earthquake. You like some of the characters, you may dislike some characters, but because of the type of character they're playing. Um, and you know, I go to a cinema back then for mostly the visuals. Sound, yeah, it's there, but I didn't really care much for it. I was interested in these visual images of how big they're projected, how they do that. These illusions. Yeah. Of course, some illusions we find out later how that trick was done. And you think, yeah, you could actually do it. Recreate the same technique. Obviously, using camera things today, but so you could, uh, so you could do things with fade, dissolve edits, and whatever, and camera shaking effect, or maybe something else that's really shaking. Uh, yeah, it was interesting the way the whole thing was done. Mm. Anyway, the Blu-ray, the 4K, so it sounds a little bit different. It's a bit plus and minus of there's some sounds in it where in the previous other version releases, um, because I would have to listen or watch a 70 mm version again to to an AB compare or to do a comparison. But anyway, between the laser disc, um, where there's a bit of kind of like one of the female characters in the movie is looking up towards a hill where they got these houses on stilts and it's rocking around and everything. And it's just about to give way and come crashing down onto her. And she's clinging onto this tree. And as the house then starts to buckle and then come loose and then hit the and then start rolling down, she goes, ah, like that. In the center channel on the remix on the Atmos, it's very faintly taken the track of the stem track of it, maybe, or maybe they've done filtering. I don't know what the heck they've done, but they've taken that sound, something like that, and then reduced it down slightly. So it's don't understand that. Anyway, um, but there is a lot more of the earthquake rumble effects, whether it be in the LFE. I'll get to that in a moment. What I've noticed, um, the the bass level, even across the screen channel, is a little bit more. Hmm, see some audio compression used, and some, because any compression's always used on audio, and some enhancing and manipulating. It's just different. Well, it sounds corny if I say the word. It has more punch. Basically, if I were to put two of them on and think side by side and look at the frequency response to and the volume fader is set at the same level. The other previous versions, they seem to be a little bit less in level. I mean, yeah, you got to turn it up a little bit to get that level. And I suppose when you put the other one on, it's like, oh gosh, turn it down a little bit, that sort of thing. There could be possibly, most likely, some loudness war effect on the 4K Atmos remix. And it wouldn't be the first or the last time, a loudness war has been used. Near field max. Um, you don't need to. I mean, I'm not sure how it would compare again with cinema speakers using small home hi-fi speakers. Uh, I don't think you get, you could have everything all set the same. Everything's just switching between speakers, and one brand of speakers are just not gonna. You got to turn it up a little bit just to get, and then you think, well, it's using up a little bit more amplifier power just to get, whereas, yeah, I only have to use less. Mm. But yeah, it just had a bit more depth on the bass. Um, I'd have to examine the mix on the full range screen channels later on, because I didn't haven't done a full um, examination on the levels to see what they're like. But there is a difference. But then there's a Japanese laser disc of Earthquake, and there's a report that that version is a little different to the USA letterbox edition release, which I have, and the pan and scan version. Um, there's a bit of a more difference. I'm not sure what that difference is, but that Japanese earthquake laserdisc is a little hard to get hold of because there's not many of them in circulation. So I imagine it's pretty rare, but I wouldn't imagine extremely stupid overpriced. If any are available, it's just rare to get hold of. Um, and of course, it'll only be a matrix. Um, but usually, between a matrix, listening to say between a matrix and maybe because it is PCM, so it's lossless audio. It's PCM. It's theatrical. It's pulse code modulation. Uh, it sh- shouldn't be too much different between listening to screen channels, obviously surrounds because you get a matrix and yeah, a little different difference on the surrounds and a little talk of the um, there were some sound effects in this earthquake that kind of made me think, oh my goodness, it sounds like that bloody awful Superman the movie DVD early edition that came out in the early 2000s. Yeah, that it wasn't too soon or too far off that people didn't like it. They hated it because they didn't like the new sound effects that were added to it. I think they got a little excited at first, and I think then they settled down, and then they think, God, this sucks. Where's the original theatrical version? Hmm, that took at least 20 years to come around, didn't it? Mm. And they're just milking Superman the movie over and over and over and over and over again. And then suddenly one day, boom, they release it. Oh, and it sounds wow better. Um, yeah, there was some sound effects in Earthquake that sounded like Superman the movie. I mean, not were they sounded like that sort of treatment, with the sound editing and such. Like they had a bit more. I don't know. Some sound effects seem out of place, and mm, well, they obviously distracted me because I played the DVD so many times. I played the Laserdisc so many times. And between the Laserdisc, the DVD, the Blu-ray, there's a tiny difference. Um, but I know how the surrounds sound like on the screen versions on the previous DVD Blu-ray. Um, and the surrounds are pretty active throughout the whole running time of the movie, particularly the earthquake. And they got kind of this kind of stereo mix to it as well. Obviously, the Atmos now is going to add that because you know it's it's like it or dislike it or totally hate it, or if it pisses me off too much, it will definitely go in the cat litter. No pause, no reflection, no hesitation. It will go in the cat litter. Um, but there is something on it at the moment that the way it's done on the LFE is kind of it's not what I heard, it's what I could see with the LFE because I could see that when I played the disc yesterday, I didn't even play it at first with the LFE on. I had it turned off. I don't know why. I just had it muted and just um, played the LC, the screen stage channel with the surrounds, and I just noticed it instantly that when where the first little earthquake tremor is at the opening of the movie, and then there's another little tremor, and then a few more, you know, and just noticed that the bass was just a just a bit more reinforced. Mm, like it's had a few dB mixing and so fudging it. Yeah, but I think the LFE was very interesting what I saw in the signal, and that's got me thinking with a some some approach that I'm going to take. I can't say what it is. It's top secret. I'm going to try something And I think it might be interesting. It might be disappointing. I think it's called trial and error. Hmm. So I'll try that later. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Uh, I'll just experiment with it. See what sort of effect use I get from it. Oh, you on the run now? Whoa, careful, Mel. Yeah, she's a little drunk, I think. What you been drinking? Water? Um, yeah. Um, as for the crappy Atmos on 4K, is there any overhead sound use? No, I think the mixers really pissed on their fireworks, on their own file mixing fireworks, because they've they've missed out an opportunity. And well, what are they going to do now? Say, oh, we'll go back and do it again. You can't trust these bloody mixers today. The studios and that, they're like bloody parasites. They're like bloody cat. You might as well call it milk quake. Moo, moo quake, moo. Bloody hell, how many times has the blood? How many times has that movie been re-released on the small disc format? Be whether it DVD or bloody blue or 4K, I couldn't care less. How many times has it been milked on that small disc format? Bloody hell, it's been milked more bloody times than probably than the VHS and the Laserdisc. The Laserdisc only had three pressings. Of course, you got the other one, which was the bit earlier or something. I think it's the CED. Is it the CED? Oh, yeah. Um, it's been milked over and over on the small disc format, like a bloody cash cow for crying out loud. I mean, oh dear, how many people have seen that over the decades? Bloody hell. You know, you got the TV version and you got the theatrical or whatever version, and that's been just milked over, milk, cash cow, milk. Bloody hell. Oh, fuck's sakes. You know, uh, it just sort of, doesn't it turn anyone off? It turns me off. That, yeah. Oh, we is, so obviously you can't say, there's allegedly there's a sensurround original mix on it. Whether that's well, I'd imagine that would be, if it is, it's probably for what I don't know. Well, I don't know what the fuck it could be for. Could it be the optical soundtrack version? It certainly wouldn't be the 70 mil version because otherwise I wouldn't be seeing what I am seeing on the VU meters. Um, that's a super belch quake. Um, yeah, there's I would say Earthquake 4K is 50-50, hit and miss. But that LFE thing that's going on there really has got me sort of interested a little bit. I'm a bit curious about that because reading the information about earthquakes and surround the pilot tones or the tones that we used and what I'm seeing on the what I'm seeing is like, huh, am I seeing like an original or something, or is this what's going on? There's something behind it because technically, I wouldn't really know what the fuck's going on in cinema back in the when I saw it, heard it, or felt it. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg or the chicken? Did I feel it first? Is that the egg? Yeah, and then I heard it. I suppose that's the chicken. You know, because the egg is rolling. You know, if you've got an egg that's rolling around on, let's say, a table, and you can put your hand on it, you feel the rolling vibrations. But then I suppose you could think of the chicken like a T Rex. Yes, yes, because it's Universal Pictures, isn't it? Yeah, Spielberg, giant chicken, Velociraptor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, yeah, I'm thinking it's chicken or the egg. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So what test I'll be doing? I'm not saying. I'm not saying. I already did it quickly up in my head. I thought, oh, this is interesting. Be interesting how it sounds on the playback. Yeah, because it's fortunate I've got enough equipment uh, to probably do the test that most other people in their home theatres, or probably depending on what processor you're running. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I did it. I worked it out pretty quick. I thought, I just got to get it set up and then just see what it's see what effect it gives. Because I kind of recall what was going on in 1970 when I saw it in 1975, and it's been something I wanted to try um, months ago. I wanted to use some equipment, but didn't quite get anywhere. It didn't quite well. It was trial and error. I think it was more error because of yeah. But it is interesting that when I look at the signature of the because they say they got this original sensor around blah blah that yeah they say that on the other discs as well whether it be the DVD because you know nothing's going to change. It's going to if it's an original, well, kinda original. If it was going to be an original, then they might as well just make limited edition sensurround mod 2 units so everyone can install them in home and put three sub bass speakers around or three speakers for the bass sub bass sensor around whatever way you want to call it. One very large one at the front of the room and two smaller ones in each of the corners of the room because that's how it was done. Um, but I don't know about the rest of the spec and the experience of looking at that unit and seeing what what it what that unit does, what makes it tick, etc. Because at the end of the day, it's just a pack of electronics. Um, yeah, and it's what it's doing with the rest of the soundtrack mix. Those electronics. But then when you think of nature itself, which cannot be fooled, um, nature's totally different to a pack of electronics. You see, this is where most people would just be thinking about audio and everything. At the end of the day, they're just forgetting one tiny little minute detail, which is nature itself. And you got to understand how an earthquake works, has been long before we walked the face of this planet, and how well animals such get more alert to the thing before we even notice it. That's why if you watch the movie and you can see that the wildlife, the birds are reacting, and dogs barking because they picked up on the primary wave, the P wave, which travels at the speed of sound, and then right behind it is the S wave, the seismic wave, which is coming or getting nearer until its energy just boom. And another thing is that you should be mostly not. Yes, you should be feeling it, but not feeling it like in your chest and all that. Because, well, I don't know. It's just it's a little gimmicky. I think bass chest thing, you know, um, because how we or how sound energy works. If it's something that's under the ground, then it's going to be surface vibration, and because we're coupled with the ground surface, and whether some of that under the ground surface energy is actually, or is it actually released so you can actually hear it airborne? I don't know because I've never actually heard a real earthquake in the UK where I've been awake and I've noticed it. I mean, there's been a few over many years ago. One where I was sleeping, and so I wouldn't notice it. Other people in this area, they noticed it because they were probably awake at the time. Other people near the centre, which was South Wales, they noticed it, and some that were maybe awake or awake, they noticed it down as far as London. Um, but the energy and the wave would have over the would have dissipated, and so they would have felt, I'd imagine, minor vibration, not enough to do superstructural damage, apart from some in Wales where the energy was just enough just to, because the houses and the buildings in this country are different. I mean, they wouldn't they wouldn't be earthquake proof to stand up to something. They'll get damaged. Um, but yeah, missed that one. But I'm pretty certain there was another one, another minor or mini kind of like earthquakey, where I was sort of awake, and it was during I think again the epicenter was miles away. I couldn't be too, I can't be 200% certain, but It was where I was in my room, I was playing some movie and that, and then paused or stopped something, and then I just felt something rattle or rumble or something or vibration just for a couple of seconds. And no, it's not the traffic that's coming down the road and vibrates because I know what signature that makes. And it certainly wouldn't be enough to make one of my cupboard doors out in the hallway, um, where the cupboard door just kind of opened because of the vibration. But it didn't last long. It was. I just thought, what was that? Hmm. And of course, it was probably about 8 or 10 years ago now. I think 15, yeah, something like that. 8 or 10 years ago. Mm. But it's like this country, like I say, it's very rare they happen in this country. um, so what I was thinking is it should be more on the floor. It should be fed on the floor. Well, depending on floor structure, how it's designed, or if it's a concrete floor, you could build a wooden floor on top of a concrete floor, depending on how high your ceiling is. Um, if your ceiling's not really high enough, you know, you put a floor in, and you put the components. You get to select the components that are going to be used, and then you don't want a floor that's too deep. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of your headroom of your room. Um, Base shakers are pretty effective. Um, Also, experimenting with free air speakers, bass speakers that are in free air and just lay on the floor with the magnet structure thing going against the floor, and even that can send a vibration, but the radius it sends it out depending on the structure type of the floor design. That also makes a factor. It could be maybe a couple of foot. Real When you think of the energy of a real earthquake, it's pretty deep down under the ground, thousands of feet, a mile or whatever, and then that energy is powerful, very powerful, and it's coming upward, and then it just weakens the structure of the ground, and it goes this way, that way, this way, that way, up, down. It's just twisted and warped in every possible way you could imagine. And just like the ocean waves, you go on a boat, it's very steady, and then these waves just get lower, and then you start, you know, you have the same motion effect. I think that's the nearest simulation to is ocean waves, but they're also with ocean waves and water. It's also kind of got this kind of elastic spring sensation to it. Um, Whereas earthquake is, it's on solid surface, or it could be on the ocean as well, because earthquakes can be on the ocean. That's why you get the tsunamis. Um, Not that I think you want to try and get a tsunami in your living room. It's not going to do the electronics any good when water starts coming over everything. um, yeah. Mm, kind of curious where it was, what dubbing stage they'd done it on. I could probably ask around, find out what dub stage, because Universal, they got so many dubbing stages. Whether it was done in a small one, a large one, but I don't think. I think a small one, because seeing how the Atmos is mixed on it, it doesn't utilize a lot of channels. It's pretty bare as it goes. Like I say, there's not hardly any use on the overhead, apart from just using it for music, which is pointless because it sounds like you're listening to the same. It doesn't make any sense. They might as well just not bother done an Atmos, because they're just hyping it up with Atmos to get people to buy. Oh, I bought it myself to buy it. An old movie, and you just put Atmos on it, and it's like, oh wow, it's got to be brilliant. It's got to be like, oh, the mixing engineers must have done something supremely stellar on it. Actually, no, pretty bit disappointing. I mean, I think Atmos is overrated. It's hyped up. It's overrated. I mean, it's like I said before. It's all dressed up. Atmos is all dressed up, but it's got no sound where place. It's got no sound place where to go with it. It's yeah, yeah. I think I would get. I think after a while, testing with this experiment that I'll do. Can't say what the experiment, the details on that experiment are. Um, and most other people that are about my age, that are sensurround fanatic, um, they'll probably be trying a few things on themselves, I would imagine. Um, but it is interesting how that LFE was, how it was done. It does seem like maybe an improvement. It had pretty down to the frame count on the image, on the and some other effect use, where I noticed where it was like the bass level seemed to be a little bit minimized across the screen channel or such, and it was just the LFE signal, how it was used. Because, like I say, you should only just feel this, and then, of course, in a real thing, it's going to make things rattle. Um, the only thing that makes it rattle is maybe the certain parts of the seats, because how a cinema seat is designed, or how any other seat would be designed, and if the level is at a certain, where it makes the seats make a sound or a noise. But much else. Oh, there was some additional, very soft, like ambient effects going around in the surrounds, that creaking sounds or whatever, that seem to give an illusion to the effect of the earthquake. Um, I did notice that. Um, Hmm. I think this might be it might turn out to be maybe a month or two sensurround obsession again until I've gone through whatever technique or approach I want to apply to getting some secret effect. And then I get bored of it, and then probably play it occasionally once. But could I? Yeah, I'd have to if I do this thing. I've got to have a little something so I can read, so I can know how to put it back together again. Because if I put something else in, it's going to be completely different. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough rambling and rumbling about sensurround for the moment. I'm not saying go out, rush out, and buy the damn thing because it is a bit of a disappointment on the Atmos. But for the LFE, and the rest of the bass on it, hmm, hmm, interesting. Providing, of course, you rode that boat 50 years ago. If you hadn't seen the film in that sense around in a cinema set at 35 or 70 mil, then you you know to most other people, oh yeah, feeling that, and thinking, but you didn't experience the actual thing back in the day because flipping heck. Oh, yeah, yeah. 'Cause it makes most of these woke Atmos movies or whatever the heck they are sometimes today. It's like, is there something missing, or am I missing something? Because I can recall all these movie trends going over the decades. Yeah.